right, stream's going, recording's going. Okay. As I said, welcome back to, I believe this is session 3 or 4. Look at me, I don't even know my session numbers of Ophion. As some of you may have noticed, Discord is currently wonky and is going up and down. So if this recording gets cut short or the stream gets cut short, it's because we don't have Discord anymore. If this kind of situation with Discord continues, I'll likely get us a sort of a backup system. But we'll see. I'm hoping Discord just gets its shit together. So in the interest of getting as much done as possible in the time that we have, if Captain, if you would go ahead and take us away with your captain's log.
All right. Captain's log, stardate 54783.2. The USS Connecticut and the USS Aegis have arrived in the Sabine Expanse and have each set their own exploration course to maximize the fleet's exploration potential. Meanwhile, Engineer Thomas is still the subject of much speculation among the crew, which I'm sure is not helping his treatment in any way. Many captains would not tolerate such an unstable element aboard their ship, and I admit to seeing their position. However, given my own medical history, I find myself willing to give him a chance once Counselor Jisa says that he can perform his duties. My patience will be finite, though. If he's found camping near the waste reclamators or the deuterium fuel tanks again, then repercussions may be more severe. We are nearing our next sector of the Expanse, dubbed Sector Sabine Gamma 113 by stellar cartographers who have never left their telescope installations. I think it's unfair that the first Starfleet ship that maps these sectors doesn't get to come up with catchier names. However, in retrospect, that would probably mean that much of the Alpha Quadrant would be called the Picard sector, so I suppose there is logic to that. On the plus side, my Ready Room replicator is fixed. I have missed my Trill Junlop berry coffee.
All right, very good. So how we're going to open this session is all of you, for whatever reason, so even Mirthrin, you're going to be on the bridge for this scene. So the bridge is pretty sedate at the moment. Right now, all you're seeing outside of the view screen are just those stars flying past in the typical warp fashion. And, you know, as I said, everything seems to be more normal. Lieutenant Locke, you're picking up normal sensor readings. Senior Chief Tin isn't picking up anything out of the ordinary. Panek, you're not picking up anything on communication channels. And Shatsu doesn't seem to have anything security going on. So I wanted to give you guys a small opportunity here to do a little bit of RP before I jumped into the adventure. So yeah, you guys are all on the bridge. That is what's going on.
All right. Mr. Mirthrin, have you had any chance to talk with our recently found engineering friend?
Some. I mean, I've been giving him his space. It's mostly been giving constructive feedback on the design of the EPS conduits, but other than that.
And are you, would you be opposed to having him in engineering assisting your team once he's cleared for duty?
And Mirthrin sort of thinks about it for a bit and goes, well, I wouldn't feel comfortable putting him in any high-stress, high-responsibility positions, but assuming he's comfortable with being brought in as a member of the crew, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
I'll note that in the log. Thank you.
All right.
While that's going on, Panek will walk over to Lieutenant Locke with a pad in his hand.
Oh, hang on. Lost sound from you there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Commander?
Hello. Is anyone hearing?
Yeah,
we do hear you, Bishop.
Okay, cool.
Lieutenant.
Sir, what can I do for you today, sir?
To effectively carry out the Ophion's secondary mission objective, you must be as informed as possible when it comes to the DMZ. Now that we have the Aegis and the Connecticut in the vicinity, we have a couple more eyes and ears. And then he'll place a pad on the console and transfer over a schedule. And this is a shift rotation I want you to use for the bridge staff. Every other bridge shift is to check in with the Aegis and the Connecticut, and transmit them our updated stellar cartography logs. Understood?
Yes, sir. Oh, I've been trying to keep in contact with the two other ships as best as I can. I believe they're nearing the nebula now, and so we're getting some really good communications currently.
I want you to refrain from using the comm buoy as for sensitive transmissions.
Wouldn't dream of it, sir. No.
How are you finding your shift to Alpha shift, Mr. Locke?
Well, little tired, little sleepy. Used to being in bed right now, but trying not to fall asleep on my console in the middle of things. That'd be very embarrassing. But other than that, it's I honestly right now I thought it'd be a bit more active.
Well, we are nearing the next sector, so let's hope that things get a little more interesting, but not too interesting.
And almost as if somebody taunted the fates of the universe. Locke, your console begins beeping at you.
Oh, things are beeping.
Yeah.
I'm picking up some sensor readings.
Yes. So you turn to your console and you see that you're starting to notice a buildup of tetrions around the Ophion's warp bubble. And just as a small primer, for those who aren't aware, tetrion particles typically come from subspace, and they're usually hard to get a good reading on. So some tetrion radiation is probably expected, but not to the levels you're starting to see around your warp bubble.
Is it going to destabilize the warp bubble at all?
Not as of yet, but as you continue to look at the readout, you do notice that the concentration is building up.
Captain, we seem to be having a spike in tetrion emissions around the warp field. It's increasing fairly steadily.
Are you able to identify a source, and is there any immediate danger to the ship?
No danger yet. Dropping down to a lower warp might be advisable. It might slow us the rate of the tetrion buildup. And I'm trying to locate a source now.
Okay.
All right, make it happen. Miss Sona, please drop us down to warp 1.
Aye, sir. And she does that. And if you'd like to try and get a reading on this, I believe the roll would be a control or insight plus science on your part. And the Ophion may assist with its sensors plus science. And this is only at a difficulty 2, so you have the chance for some momentum here.
Control and science.
And out of curiosity, who's rolling for the ship this go around?
I can do the ship.
Okay.
That was sensors and science.
Correct.
Oh.
All right, well, maybe the ship will crit. Nope. We got a double roll, but that's okay.
The rolls continue to be terrible.
So, the most information you're able to get is that it's almost like a dragnet. The closer you get to this new sector of space, the more the large, quote-unquote, size of the Ophion is basically catching these stray tetrion particles, and it's building up towards the front. And you estimate that even at warp 1, that you have maybe about 15 minutes to come up with a solution before it reaches a level that would either cause the warp field to destabilize or possibly start to deal with radiation exposure to the crew.
Captain,
Yes, XO.
I would suggest we turn the Ophion immediately before we find ourselves taken farther into this distortion.
I am in agreement. Helm full reverse.
So Sona, of course, does as ordered, but something goes wrong. She inputs the command, pauses, inputs it again, and then her console almost erupts in a shower of sparks. Sona kind of puts up her hand reflexively, but when she can see again, she doesn't appear to have taken any damage, but her console is shot. And she just kind of turns around and says, Sir, I think it's pretty clear that we now no longer have any control over our destination.
I missed
Right.
getting bored.
Murthrin's going to attempt to, reverse the polarity of the shield harmonics or whatever to just try and forcibly bleed off some of the build-up.
Okay. Go ahead and roll
I don't know.
me-
There's some trick of he can shake the warp bubble in a way which sort of shunts a whole bunch of them off to the side or something.
No, gotcha. Go ahead and roll me a daring plus engineering, and we'll keep it at a difficulty of 2.
Particle physics applicable here?
Yeah, I'd certainly say it would.
Oh, and warp field dynamics.
Yeah, either one would work. Hey,
2
and
successes.
you get 2
Hey,
successes.
all right.
So, Murthrin, you are able to buy some time by, as you say, both reversing the polarity and more or less shunting off some of the buildup. But the time window of about 15 minutes has maybe been increased to 20.
Right.
And it's at this point that Shatsu kind of remarks in a open way, not to anyone in particular. She says, would going into multi-vector assault mode help us at all? If we are...
I mean, it would result in 3 smaller warp field profiles that might be enough to deal with the build-up.
It might at least buy us some time.
And worst case scenario, if something's compromised the systems, separating them out might help.
Shatsu just kind of looks at Sona, and Sona looks at her dead console and says, well, in the event that Sona cannot perform the task manually, we can certainly try and let the computer do the separation sequence.
Captain, do you want me to get down to the tertiary hull and steer it from there?
Agreed. Murthrin, go to the tertiary. Mr. Panek, go to the secondary.
Understood.
Grab a couple extra bodies as needed on your way.
Off to
I'll,
the turbo
I'll
lift?
grab that shuttle pilot that I took last time, the one with the Klingon novella.
Okay. So I'm not going to put us on the big MSD map as of yet, but anyone going to the Gamma sector of the ship, the one where the main engineering and the tertiary hull is, I'll put on the left of the bridge. And anyone going to the beta or secondary hull will be on the right. Sona just kind of looks at Senior Chief Tin and Locke and just kind of looks to the captain and wondering if she should stay, she should go, that kind of a thing.
No, I'd prefer that Locke and Shatsu stay here, I believe. Although Miss Sona is pretty much useless, so she could... I'll send Miss Sona with Murthrin.
Okay, Sona's going to go with Murthrin. All right. So, very quickly, a call goes throughout the ship to prepare for MVAM, and people, get woken up, go to their shifts, that sort of thing. So that by the time everyone is in place and multi-vector assault mode starts to occur, you all have 3 separate ships essentially able to be run at the moment. And I'm not going to do a roll for this because Sona's console's kind of dead and the computer's doing it. So what happens is as the multi-vector assault mode begins to commence, the 3 warp bubbles kick into effect. And it's almost like being on a stormy sea of an ocean. All 3 sections of the ship begin rocking back and forth, and it gets to the point where the inertial dampeners are having really a hard time keeping up. And all at once, all three sections of the ship come to a lurching stop. And I get to put you guys on this map. So the lurching stop causes you all to be flung about violently as each of the sections comes to a halt. As you start to pick yourself up and begin to try and take stock of what just happened, the view screens on all three of the bridges activate. They reveal a trinary star system of 3 Sol-like suns in near-perfect orbit around their barycenter. There are 6 planets in the system, 1 Mercury-like Class D, 3 Moon-sized Class L, and 2 Jupiter-sized Class Js. Strangely, it seems that the Class Ls all share the same circular orbit, just at different intervals around the circle. And if it helps you think of it, if you think of a fidget spinner, basically the planets are the washers that are on the external, or are on the bulges that are on a fidget spinner.
All right, so Murthrin sort of picks himself up up off the floor. Damage report.
Sona turns around and says, we seem to be functional for the time being, sir. I am detecting normal power for this section of the ship, and otherwise we are good.
Sona, am I looking at a trinary star system?
You are indeed, sir. Are indeed.
Right.
Words hard.
Sort of goes to the console, looks at the info. And just sort of like stares at the info and tilts his head sideways, not quite sure what he's seeing.
Mm-hmm. It's as you expected.
Yeah.
I assume I've taken a science officer with me.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you want to take Senior Chief Tin or not?
I guess I could, yeah.
Okay. Let me move his token. There you go.
Skull to other sections of the ships. Is everyone all right over there?
So all of you will get this transmission, but it'll be slightly garbled. Still audible, but it is definitely, there is some interference at play.
Yep. Skull, this is Murthrin. Receiving you, but we're getting a lot of interference.
Mr. Panek?
I am reading you, Captain. We're experiencing the same interference.
Yeah, same here. Lieutenant Locke, do you have any analysis of what we're looking at?
Scanning, sir. I'm just reading myself.
Okay. This would be a control plus science, and I'm going to make this at a difficulty 0 because you guys could use the momentum.
Scanning, definitely a trinary star system.
Okay, so you get a momentum. So yeah, as you say, it definitely is a trinary star system, which is...
Oh, would the ship have assisted with that?
Yeah, why not? Let's have the ship assist with sensors plus science again. Even more momentum possibilities. Unfortunately, no additional momentum.
I am no longer allowed to roll for the Ophion.
You said it's the 3 stars are the outside of the fidget spinner?
If I had to qualify it, so imagine if you had a small fidget spinner that was the 3 suns, and then you have a much larger fidget spinner, which is the 3 planets. So it's a fidget spinner within a fidget spinner, if that makes any sense.
All right. There's nothing in the middle.
No. Yeah, there is nothing that you're able to detect in the middle of all of this. But with your success on this task, you are going to learn a few things. The good news is that by splitting the ship into 3, you have been able to, for the moment, waylay the crew from being exposed to harmful doses of radiation. However, if you remain too far, or not too far, too long, in the line sight of these 3 suns, you might be able to, or you might start experiencing the effects of a level 8 ion storm. Luckily, each each of your sections has come to more or less high orbit around each of the 3 Class L planets. So it's relatively trivial for you to communicate this fact to the rest of the sections, and for all 3 sections to hide behind their respective planets.
Yeah. Okay. There's something weird about these planets, though. Like a 2-planet orbit system is theoretically possible, but I'm pretty sure that 3 planets in orbit at the same plane is not a stable structure that occurs naturally.
And Sona just kind of tilts her head to the side and says, and if this is the case, this would be the first such record in Starfleet's history.
The universe is a very big place.
Sensors, are we getting any energy readings on the planet's surface?
Yeah, I was gonna have Senior Tin scan the planets.
Okay. So Tin just does his job. And sure enough, after a moment, he says, well, this is interesting, sir. The planet we're hiding behind seems to show signs that some sort of advanced civilization once lived here. More specifically, I'm detecting the remnants of what might be a industrial type building and a form of emitter that, believe it or not, is still active, and that can't be right. Well, the emitter, sir, is aimed at the 3 stars. Obviously, I can't say if such a thing exists on the other planets, but my guess is that if these emitters are present on all 3 Class L planets, that might be why we're getting the whole Tetryon bombardment. And possibly also the ion storm-like activity.
This suggests, and at this point, Murthron sort of leans in and actually starts looking quite excited.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't be the only one who's thinking this. I mean, 3 planets in this arrangement with emitters aimed at the suns, and this suggests some level of stellar engineering on a cosmic scale here.
Agreed. Lieutenant Locke, is it safe to deploy an away team for investigation?
I'm still scanning the immediate planet, but I'll have to check the other 2. Am I detecting any life signs on any of the planets?
Yeah, so best you can tell, none of the planets have life signs, but the situation is different for each of the planet. So for Alpha Section, the one with the captain and Locke, you should be able to beam down an away team without issue, though Commander Beckett would obviously recommend you have regular triox injections. Beta Section, the one with Lieutenant Commander Panek and Tin, your planet has atmospheric discharges, so you'll have to take down a shuttle. And Gamma Section, your transporters were knocked offline in the MVAM separation sequence, and unfortunately, you don't have shuttles in your section. So either you're going to have to
have landing legs.
Yeah, I was going to say, so either you're going to have to land the ship, or you're going to have to repair the transporters.
What are the conditions like on our planet?
They're very similar to Alpha's. It's just that, you would have to figure out a way to get down to it, kind of a thing.
What are the atmospheric conditions of it?
Of Beta?
Yeah, I mean, do we have to go in suits, or?
No, it's not that bad. It is more or less the equivalent of, I don't remember the exact episode name, but you remember that one episode of TNG where Geordi was trapped on a, this almost muddy lightning storm type planet? And
Galandron Core.
Yeah, there was this whole thing with the Romulan that he found.
I
and
remember that.
They had to fix a beacon to signal that they were alive.
Yeah. They did something similar later in DS9 with Ducat and Cisco. And yeah, now I remember it.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's habitable, but it definitely makes transporting a hell of a nightmare.
All right.
Oh, well, we'll give the transporters a go, but in the meantime, we'll just... Yeah, so I'll have Murthrin do a quick roll to see if he can get the transporters online well enough to safely transport down to the planet, and failing that, he'll get ready to look for a place to land.
Okay. So the good news is for you, because the Ophion has the rugged design talent, all attempts to repair part of the ship or a system of the ship, the difficulty is reduced by 1. So
Nice.
instead of being difficulty 3, these tasks will only be at a difficulty of 2. And your first task is going to be a reason plus engineering, just so you can try and figure out exactly what's wrong with the transporters, aside from them just not working.
All right, I've got pretty good scores for that. I feel comfortable about just doing that on its own. Yep, 2 successes.
So, as is a popular problem with the transporters, the Heisenberg compensators will need replacement.
Those darn Heisenberg compensators.
But yeah, now that you've identified the problem, it is a relatively trivial control plus engineering, again at a difficulty 2 to replace said Heisenberg compensators.
All right, control engineering?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Yep.
Hey,
3
you get
successes.
some momentum. Nice. So, I think you guys are up to 3 now. Might be wrong. Might just be 2. In any event, yeah, so Murthrin, since you do have the benefit of being the chief engineer, and since you are in the section of the ship, which has most of the engineering staff...
And the main warp core.
And the main warp core, you're able to get the transporters back online, no problem. So yeah, you could start sending away teams down whenever you're ready.
Alrighty. Well, let's send down an exploratory away team.
Okay.
I'm assuming there's like a equivalent transmitter on our planet as well.
Oh yeah, sorry. If it wasn't clear, there is a emitter power signature on each of the planets you guys are around at the moment.
Alrighty.
I'm going to go down in a shuttle with my pilot, and I'm going to leave Tin up here to take control of the secondary bridge, and I'm going to take a couple of security with me if I can. I don't know if they're on my...
Okay.
on my part.
How many did you want to bring? And I'll do this so anybody above the ship stays on the ship, and anybody below the ship will be on the away team.
The pilot and I guess 2 security.
Okay. Let me just
now
quickly...
decide, is Murthrin the sort of person... Now, is Murthrin the Kirk sort of person who takes the entire bridge crew, or is he the Picard sort of person who stays on the bridge while everyone else goes down? No, I think he's the sort of person who goes down himself.
Okay. So
And Skull will take a team with Locke and Scathia.
Okay.
I've never been on an away mission before. This is very exciting.
Alright, so I think...
First time for everything, Lieutenant. Just
Wait,
don't shoot
Scathia,
something
do
unless
you
it's
mean
first.
Shatsu?
Shatsu, yes, my bad.
Okay, I was wondering if there was an NPC I wasn't aware of. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, I'll try not to shoot anyone. I mean, mostly, I've left the research department before, but mostly I've been in shuttles and haven't actually been out actually doing things. A little nervous.
You'll do fine, Lieutenant. Just 1 foot in front of the other, tricorder out, and don't shoot anything unless it shoots first.
Yes,
Or
sir.
I tell you to.
Try that. Keep that in mind.
Right, so I think Mithrin's going to leave one of the science staff in charge of the bridge, and he's going to take Sona and a couple of security guys down to the planet.
Okay. I'll I'll copy.
Actually, yeah, four-man team, Murthrin, Sona, 1 security, 1 engineer.
Okay. Do you want to bring Prag, or do you want Prag to stay on the bridge?
I'll have him stay on the bridge.
Okay. I'll just give you another red shirt token then. All right. So there you go.
That's basically just so Murthrin isn't the only person on planet who can fix things.
Gotcha. All right. And I'm hopefully doing this in the way that keeps everyone engaged. When I wrote this module, I was a little bit worried that splitting the party wouldn't work out. So if it gets to be a little bit tedious, just shout and I can try to do something.
No worries.
So let's deal with Alpha Section first. So Alpha Section, you guys beam on down. And you more or less are beamed into, or not into, but an area of forest that is at the base of a large mountain chain. And it's very, very green. There's lots of evergreens around. The air is chilly, but tolerable. And as far as your tricorders are able to pick up, the energy signature in question is about an hour to an hour and a half walk to the southwest.
All right. I'm just going to do a communications test to see if I can talk to other members of the crew that might be on the other sections of the ship, hopefully using the Alpha section as sort of a relay.
I'm going to say that, unfortunately, you're only going to be able to get up to the Alpha section. Even with the Alpha section playing piggyback or relaying your message. There is just something going on with the stars that the ion storm that it's putting off is not great.
Grand.
This is the planet with high radiation, correct?
Yes, this is indeed the one where you will have to take some triox injections. And I'll say, for sake of argument, and I actually probably should put Beckett on the map.
I think Beckett would be on the team as well.
Well, that's kind of a question. Do you want Beckett to take...
Yeah, no, he'd be better off as command.
Okay. In that case, Beckett will give you guys the directions for the triox injections, when to take them, and stuff like that. And Beckett will remain in command of Alpha. But yeah, for the moment, you guys can just start heading towards the energy signature, unless you wanted to, look around a bit before heading that direction.
Other than the obvious energy structure, is there any other sign of ancient civilizations, old, half-buried structures, or anything of the like?
Go ahead and roll me a insight plus science here.
All right.
I'd also be looking. Could I assist with that?
Yeah, you certainly can assist. And this would still be difficulty 2.
Oh.
Do not need to roll 2 dice for that. 1 second.
All right, there's 1 success.
Yeah.
All right, so the result of this is that you're not able to... Your tricorders aren't picking up any signs of advanced life, either existing or have existed in the past. And how do I want to say this? It's almost like everything that was of value besides the emitters was seemingly either plucked up or otherwise removed from the planet. So you might see the telltale signs of, like, a foundation of a building that used to be there, but the foundation itself is no longer there.
Fascinating.
Can we tell how long ago it was by, like, the vegetation that's encroached it? Are we talking, like, generations or, like, millennia?
We're probably looking at centuries, if not millennia. That's how overgrown it is.
All right. Let's let's start walking, folks. We're not going to
Alright.
learn anything else just standing out here in the middle of nowhere.
Indeed.
Hi, Captain. I suggest we head off in that direction there. I seem to be getting the strongest energy readings from that particular bearing.
Agreed.
All right. So as Section 1 begins its trek towards the emitter, we go to Section 2, Beta Section. So Panek, your pilot is as skillful as ever. He's able to bring you and the 2 security members with you down to the planet's surface in a Type 7, Type 9 shuttlecraft. And when the door of the shuttlecraft opens, you see that there is a sort of turbulent sky that is speckled here and there with lightning blasts. Almost like spiderweb lightning, if you're familiar with that phenomenon. It's not raining or anything as of yet, but the winds are kind of high. And where you've been set down is more or less a desert. So imagine it like a salt flat that seems to stretch as far as the eye can see.
Just a straight salt flat.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I maybe not as far as you can see. Like in the distance, you can see some beginnings of a mountain, and if you look really carefully, you might even see the emitter in question. But it's so far off, you really can't make any details.
Right, then I'll pull out a tricorder and try to get a better scan of the emitter and any energy readings around it.
Okay. Go ahead and you roll me a insight plus science. And this will be at a difficulty 2. Ooh, complication. All right. So as your tricorder begins to try and take readings, suddenly there is a electromagnetic burst, and your tricorder completely dead.
I'll fold it up and put it away. I guess we're walking in blind. Then I motion for the pilot and the security to follow me as we walk towards the emitter across the salt flat.
Okay. All right, so you begin walking. Gamma section, section 3. When you transport down, you are actually deposited on a sandy beach. The lighting is almost like at a sunset, and the sand is a blackish color. I forget the beach where it's like that in the real world.
Iron Sand Beach.
Yeah. The sand is black. The waves are almost like a crystalline green color. And really, before you can even ask her to do it, Sona will kind of scan the water and scan the sand, and she'll report, I'm detecting no abnormalities. I can speak today. It should be safe should we need to go for a swim, sir.
Well, I mean, I'm sort of looking around. Can't say it isn't tempting. I mean, this is a beautiful place. I wonder if the other away teams are getting a view that.
It's quite possible, but obviously until we get in contact with them, we are not sure.
Kind of makes you curious what happened here, though. I mean, it doesn't look like the planet was subject to any kind of ecological disaster. I mean, not at first glance, anyway.
Indeed.
Oh, well, let's get a look at that emitter.
Of course, sir. One moment. And she kind of starts to pivot on the spot, and then she eventually stops in a direction that is down the beach. And she says, I believe it is this way, sir. About 2 miles.
Alrighty.
All right.
And off they trudge.
Yep. So originally I was going to have everyone here do a fitness plus con task, but I'm of the mind that it's not really needed here unless any of you want to, sprint towards the place or otherwise do so in a reckless manner. So what'll happen?
Illogical.
Yeah, it is illogical indeed.
I mean, even I've managed a mile-long hike down a beach before.
It's pretty easy, even for you guys. Notes are... There they are. So, kind of almost at the same time, each of the away teams is going to come upon what you're pretty sure is the emitter you're looking for. Obviously, it's going to look a bit different depending on your situation. But in general, it is this large parabolic type dish that is not at all dissimilar in design to deflectors used on Federation starships. Though in this instance, the emitter is several times larger than a starship's. Surrounding it appears to be a facility that's obviously seen better days. The signs of time, of time's wear and tear, make it so the metal box-like structure is either half buried in sand, covered in greenery, or sun-bleached, depending on the planet in question. And it honestly doesn't take you all long to discover a entrance to the facility, or make one if the situation calls for it. As you all step inside, the initial stretch of corridors are just as badly beaten as the outside is. However, the further you press inside, the more pristine things get. And we're going to start again with Alpha section. You guys are maybe 5 minutes into the facility at this point. Shatsu has her phaser out and is looking around very appraisingly for any signs of danger.
Okay, let's see. Looking for a computer terminal of any sort.
Okay.
Or actually, first question: does this facility seem to have power?
It does as you get further into the facility. The flickering lights and broken lights turn into nice strips of solid white light, almost like fluorescent lights.
Interesting. It's like they ran out of the building budget halfway through the construction. The exterior sections are displaying a different type of craftsmanship than the internal structure.
Yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy.
Very. I'm going to now look for computer terminals.
Okay. So you're looking around, maybe poking your head into a few rooms, but you're not able to find a working terminal. You do pass by a few bits of equipment that might suffice, but they're definitely offline and don't appear to be receiving power at the moment.
Well, then I'm going to try to jury-rig something together. See if I can get power running to something.
Okay. That would be a daring plus engineering. Okay. And I'm going to make this a difficulty 2 task.
Okay, daring plus engineering. I am going to use my Trill trait, and I am going to declare a. I'm going to pull from. Use who is it? Valis's, my first host experience.
Okay.
And I'm going to gain a jury rig focus.
Okay.
For the rest of the scene.
Yay for join Trills.
Hooray indeed. Okay, that was engineering.
I'm going to use my limited computer expertise to also try to help him out a bit.
Okay.
I'm going to use a momentum to add a dice.
Yeah, Locke, go ahead and roll an assist for this as well.
What's our current momentum?
Momentum 1 now.
Well, you just succeeded, so you already get 1 back. You might get more if Locke succeeds on his assist. Nope, so just the 1.
Nope.
Momentum 2 now.
Yep. All right, so between Locke and the captain, you're able to restore rudimentary power to a terminal. And the symbols it begins to display are entirely alien. And even when you try to apply the universal translator to it, the language is just so far in... Or let me restart that. The language is obviously a language, but the nuances of it are eluding the universal translator. It would be the equivalent of showing Chinese Mandarin to your average European or average American. Like, they might realize it's Chinese, but they have no idea what it might be saying.
No, let alone even pronouncing it.
Exactly.
Well, at least we got something up and running. Okay.
I'll hook up the universal translator to my tricorder and let it process for a bit. It might be able to decipher it with a little bit more time.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give this to you.
Yeah. Go for it.
I'll say after about 5 minutes of letting the universal translator do its work, you are able to translate a single phrase that is displayed on the screen. And it simply says, error, emitter frequency out of alignment.
All right. I'll transmit what we're able to see back up to Beckett. Hopefully he can disseminate what we found to the rest of the crews if need be.
Okay.
If he launches a probe, we might be able to use that as more of a relay.
It's not a bad idea.
That's a good idea.
So we'll say Beckett and whoever else is in charge of the other sections will fire their own probes and sort of create a web network, which will indeed allow for communication between the sections.
Yeah, because Murthrin, meanwhile, is getting into the structure and just seeing if he can, like, figure out what sort of particles the emitter dish is producing, sort of what the machinery does, just trying to work out what exactly it is that the emitter is doing to the stars.
Okay. Obviously, the closer to the heart of the facility Murthrin's team gets, the more Tetrion buildup there is. Again, it's not anything you have to worry about, but you get the sense that if you are able to find the base of the transmitter, you would conceivably find either a control room or a readout or something that would be able to give you more information on that.
Yep. Heading in that direction.
All right. And Beta, I'm assuming you're more or less doing the same thing.
Yeah, once we get about 30 feet into the more pristine areas of the facility, the change off, I grab over and reach over and grab a tricorder from one of the security officers.
Mm-hmm.
What rank are these guys?
They're red shirts, so either crewman or ensign.
So I just say, your tricorder, please, crewman, and kind of just take it out of his belt holster without waiting.
Yeah.
And then I scan for energy readings and life signs farther into the structure.
Okay. I'll make this a difficulty 0 because I want you guys to have more momentum. This would be a control plus science this time. All right, so you succeed, but unfortunately no momentum. Again, you're not picking up any life signs, and the bulk of the energy signatures is coming from deeper into the facility, but when you do scan, you are able to get a very basic layout of the structure. So you have more or less a path to get where you need to go.
All right, then I'll start heading towards the energy signature at the most linear straight path to it.
Okay. So, I'm going to put you guys now on this map, and hopefully dynamic lighting will work lovely for us. If not, oh well. So, each of you each of the away teams, is going to finally come upon a large dome-like structure. And you see that it's approximately 150 feet in diameter and half as much in height. There's all sorts of active control consoles, benches for people to work at, and work areas that all lead up to this large collection of monitors and readouts at the very base of the transmitter. But that's maybe not the really interesting part. For as you start to look around, you see that one of the doorways leads into almost this triad area, and you kind of catch sight of the other away teams.
Yeah, so I think Murthrin sort of comes out and sees the others and sort of blips on his communicator and goes, Captain Skull?
This is Skull. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Could you turn around to your left by about 120 degrees?
Okay. Wait, what? What are you doing here?
And there's Murthrin in the corridor just awkwardly waving.
What? Why? How did you get here, crewman?
How did you get here?
Can I see either of them?
Yeah, you can see them. I would think you would at least see Murthrin.
Murthrin, could you raise your left hand quickly? Just
Does so?
is it real time?
Yeah?
I'm going
Curious
to
indeed.
I'm going to step through the doorway.
Okay. Yeah, you're now all in this triad little area.
Yeah, and so Murthrin sort of looks at the others, steps back into his console, in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, checks Sona's still there, comes back in. Absolutely fascinating.
I would like to scan the crap out of the doorway.
Okay. That would be we'll call it a control plus science here.
Control?
And
Not reason, or just-
more, reason science might be good too.
I do. This would explain the massive Tetrion buildup. I mean, if this is what I think it is, this represents a level of control over subspace that the Federation can only dream about.
I've read logs from Picard about his encounter with Iconian technology. Do you think this could be related?
I mean, possibly, but this is on a not just the scale, but the level of subtlety involved. I mean, I didn't even realize this was a portal, he says, looking at the doorway behind him.
Yeah, and as you do, Locke, with your 3 successes, actually, so you guys get a momentum, you're able to determine that the doorway is similar in design to how the ancient Iconians did their doorways, but the big difference here is that they use an entirely different manner of operation, and the destination of the portal is static. So it is, for lack of a better term, a Tetrion-based phenomena.
I step into the center area and try to call the ship.
Okay. So curiously, when you step into the section of the ship, or section of this area, and you try to call up to the ship, all 3 sections of the ship are going to respond that they hear you.
Now, is that because the doors are open, or because this is in range of all 3?
It's a mystery. You'd have to do a little bit of investigation to find out.
Do the doors close?
No.
I think Murthrin sort of leans in. Sona, I'm going to do a little experiment here. Okay, if we close these doors for a second?
Let's all walk out in case it doesn't reestablish itself after they're opened again.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I've seen the lost room.
Zoop. And Murthrin sort of closes his set of doors.
Okay.
We'll close ours.
Okay.
And have Locke attempt to contact all 3 ships again.
Yep.
Okay.
Beep.
So, Locke, when you try to communicate with your ship again, you only get the alpha section.
Yeah, Murthrin waits about a minute and a half and then opens the doors again.
Yeah. Triad still there.
Right, well, this is going to make our job a lot easier.
It would be interesting to see this technology adapted to the Ophion. If we could somehow connect the 3 bridges.
I'm
And Merthren sort of sits there and thinks about it for a minute. On the one hand, that would be very useful. On the other hand, the idea of establishing a 3-way subspace gateway between moving portions of a ship at warp kind of terrifies me.
also the Tetrion emissions would be a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to go somewhere. Anyway, let's see if we can't.
Our section. Did either of you two have power in your sections for the consoles?
Do we?
You do.
Pinnacle
All
section.
3 sections have power to the consoles.
Yep, all 3 sections seem to be operable.
I'm going to go
All right,
over and try to access my
let's see if we
console.
can't work out what these stations are actually emitting.
Okay. So
Agreed.
let's handle Panek first, since Panek's going over to check out his console. So Panek, I would say this would either be a insight plus engineering or an insight plus science to try and decipher the symbols that you're seeing. Okay. And I'm gonna succeed at cost here. So Panek, you aren't 100% sure, but based on the rudimentary translation you have available, you think that this emitter you're currently looking at the readouts for might be the equivalent of a large transporter pattern enhancer focused on the suns.
Transport pattern enhancer? So what's it beaming?
It must be transporting something. Is it transporting hydrogen into the core of the suns to somehow change their emissions?
I would
Or
say...
is it-
Oh, go ahead.
Or is it transporting something from the sun?
I would say it's more like the emitters are... They're like normal pattern enhancers that you kind of plop on down, and then whatever's in the middle has its pattern enhanced.
So it's better for scanning? Or?
Yeah, that would be the equivalent here. So these emitters are trying to establish a greater pattern lock on the suns.
Ooh.
Okay.
The implications of trying to transport 3 suns. And I mean, if these are pattern enhancers, they need to be... Presumably, there's a destination that the patterns are meant to be going to.
Presumably.
Yeah. It's entirely possible that this system is malfunctioning given the error that we've seen before. Are the other sections, gamma and beta sections, showing a similar error on their consoles where their frequencies are misaligned?
Yep.
Let's take a look.
I'll give that to you. So yeah, all 3 seem to have the same problem.
Would that mean
Alright,
one is out of alignment, or all 3 have drifted?
Probably all 3.
Given how old this technology is, it wouldn't surprise me that there's been some deviation or degradation over time. So
Let's say if realigning these things solves that problem, because if they've misaligned, that might explain the Tetrion build-up we were getting. Like, they're scattering stray Tetrion particles all over the system.
Alternatively, shouldn't we shut them down? That way there's no Tetrons at all. We don't know for sure what these do, so realigning them might be dangerous.
I mean, yes, but given the obviously artificial nature of this entire solar system, I'm inclined to hold off on shutting them down entirely. I mean, I don't want to find out what happens when an actively stabilized solar system flies apart.
especially with our ship in 3 sections spread equidistantly throughout the solar system. Let's try and figure out precisely. let's try and
Well-
ascertain what this system is supposed to do,
Yeah.
and then we can see about either turning it on or shutting it down completely.
I mean, we do have some time to work with before the ship's in serious danger. So let's see what we can find out.
I go to its computer system and try to get as much information as I can.
Okay.
Really going through its data logs.
All right.
Yeah, and I think Murthrin will call up to the Gamma Hull and say, "Prague, are you there?"
I am indeed, sir. Do you need any assistance?
Potentially. This is going to sound like I've lost my mind, but okay. Are you able to establish if something is attempting to achieve a transporter lock on an object?
Based on the ionic interference from the suns, not at the moment, sir.
Well, that might not be a problem. I want you to try and see if something's trying to establish a pattern lock onto the suns.
That would involve taking the Ophion section out of the protection of the planet, sir.
How bad is that? How bad is that ion storm getting?
It has increased to a full-on Type 8, sir. Possibly a Type 9 if conditions continue
right.
to worsen.
All right, scratch that then. All right, back to the console and just looking to see if there's any secondary systems, or if these are just basically gigantic pattern enhancers and that's all they do.
Okay. We'll do the roll this way. Locke, you do an insight plus science. And Murthrin, you can assist with an insight plus engineering.
What's
Insight
the
plus
difficulty?
engineering.
The total difficulty here will be a 4.
Oof.
And I can only provide 1 dice.
I'm going to buy a dice with momentum, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's 1 success from Murthrin.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Computer hacking, data analysis.
I would say data analysis would be the closest.
I believe I have a talent that helps me since I'm using a computer. Let's see. Fingers crossed. Come on, you.
All right. Do you have anything that'll let you re-roll a die?
Yes, I am cautious. So
Okay.
I may re-roll a single d20, so I'm going to re-roll the one that's a 19.
Okay. Hey, would you look at that? You get momentum back.
Alright.
Very nice. Okay, so between the two of you, and maybe Pinex's team too, I feel like I might be talking over Pinex, so I apologize for that.
No, it's fine.
Between the away teams, you come to the conclusion of 3 main points. The first being that the emitters are not only enhancing a pattern lock onto the suns, but also might be connected to a dormant system on each of the planets, which would actually transport the solar bodies. The second major point is that the level of engineering, if it wasn't already obvious, is far beyond anything Starfleet or really any other empire is even close to having. So you're dealing with a civilization that is millennia, if not longer, ahead of you guys in engineering. I would say either Sona
We're
or
essentially 17th century scientists trying to fix a nuclear reactor here.
pretty much, yeah. So actually, before I introduce this idea, is anyone's character? Do any of you have either archaeology in your background, or any of you have archaeology as a focus?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay, I heard no across the board. So in that case, as you all are mulling over this second bit of information, Sona just sort of remarks, and everyone would hear it. This portal phenomena is indeed indicative of the Iconians, but I believe we're dealing with a far more ancient civilization, perhaps the Takan?
The who?
Takan, Picard had an encounter with them. The last Guardian.
I had heard something. I read something about that. It was early on in the Enterprise D's adventures.
It was the first contact with the Ferengi incident. I've looked into that. Well,
Oh yes. Aside from that thing with Captain Archer several centuries ago.
Who?
Never mind. Potentially revisionist history. I'll have Locke and the rest of the science-minded folks continue to do their business.
Mhm.
I am going to ask Miss Shatsu to accompany me. We're
Okay.
going to do a little more thorough investigation of the structure, just
Okay.
to see if there's any sort of, just in case these builders left some like knowledge base articles lying around, or some sort of a library or anything really.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just put your
meantime-
tokens out here for the time being.
Yep. And in the meantime, Murthrin's going to look at just working out, okay, if we do end up realigning these emitters, what's involved in that? Or is it just a case of pressing a button and...
All right. So that was actually the third bullet point of information you guys will get. The controls for Alpha and Gamma are pretty basic, but the Beta console seems to actually have something similar to that sort of you drag your fingers across and the transporter goes for the Federation. It's kind of like that. It's got one of those interfaces on it.
Do I know if my console is different?
Yeah, I mean, you would notice either because someone's told you or you maybe have had someone go peek at the others.
I want to try to access this console's directory and see what all it can interface with.
Okay. And I'll give this to you since you guys have had time to dig into the Universal Translator a bit more. So before I answer any particular question, or before I really go into a spiel, are there any particular items you're looking for?
Realignment systems, power control,
if it's a transport
command, transporter systems or any command systems.
Okay. So your console is able to tell you that again, the emitters are out of alignment, but that transport would be available if the emitters were realigned.
Commander, could you also check to see if there's a log? Perhaps we could find out where they've been prior. That might give us some clue as to the range or the purpose.
I'll nod and then kind of try to look through for any logs.
So it is an alien date system here, so you really don't know how long ago this was. But the gist of what the logs say is that they were, whoever they were, the Takan, the Iconians, or whoever they might be, were attempting to either build this system or transport something from this system to a different system. It's one of those little nuances in language that the Universal Translator isn't really able to determine. It either is going from or going to. But there are also logs of 2 other planets being brought into the system. So the Alpha planet and the Gamma planet were brought into the system artificially.
So I think my planet's the control planet that kind of remotely controls the other 2 planets and any transporters on them?
Conceivably, yes.
I communicate this to Murthrin so he can come over and take a look at my console to see if we can work to realign remotely the emitters, and what state they should be naturally.
All right.
Sounds good. And I'm thinking if we realign one at a time, and then if something screwy starts happening, we can abort halfway.
Okay.
Let's have all the drive sections standing by at yellow alert in the meantime, though.
Probably a good call. So this is going to happen kind of in rapid succession here. So this will all happen at once. So Murthrin, as you move your token to wherever you are in the beta section.
Beta section. Let's see.
Down here.
Where?
Down to your southeast. There you go.
Oh.
As you begin to work with Panek on getting some more data and understanding it, and as Shatsu and the captain begin exploring the rest of the facility, the ensigns and Lieutenant Sona back in the Gamma section are going to immediately report, sirs, we have some form of automaton or android or security robot coming towards us. And really, before you can respond, the ensigns or / red shirts in beta section also pick up that there are some security robots coming towards you. And then Shatsu is going to hear something behind her and wheel on the spot with her phaser in hand. It says, Captain, we have something near us. And
I can see that.
At the moment, I'm just going to put you guys in initiative order, and I'll just put it like that so we can do it a little bit easier. So it is your guys' turn first to deal with the situation. Would anyone want to act first?
I think Murthrin's first thought would be, so should we try talking?
I order my 2 ensigns to put to take up a position on the door and kind of secure our room.
Okay. Yeah, they'll certainly move on up.
Yeah. I'll order Shatsu back into the control room.
Okay. She will violently protest that you should come with her.
I look at her and go, "Duh." As we're retreating, I speak to the robot. My name is Captain Barton Skull of the United Federation Planets, USS Ophion. Are you able to understand and communicate?
The security robot doesn't seem to respond, but it does advance a little bit closer.
Why do I have the feeling it doesn't want a hug? Any obvious armaments?
It does appear to have some sort of net, a net launcher in its left hand. If I had to describe these security robots, they kind of look like the ones from Fallout that are kind of on those 4 wheels and run around and basically own your face. Right. So the left hand is a capture net launcher, and on the right hand there appears to be this arcing, almost like Tesla coil looking type of device.
Okay. They do not appear to want to communicate peacefully. Let's try and neutralize them. Let's try not to destroy them utterly, but do what we can.
Okay. So this is where we will do the actual initiative order. So it is your guys' turn, and only one of you can now go now that we're strictly in initiative. So which one of you would like to go first?
Okay, no one's volunteering. I may as well go.
Okay.
Yeah, Murthrin certainly wouldn't fire the first shot.
I'll waiting for orders.
Yeah. So I draw my phaser and say, remember the first rule I told you about not shooting first, Lieutenant?
Very vividly, sir.
I'm about to disobey that, and I'll take take a shot with it. I'm going to set it to stun just to see if that is sufficient.
Okay.
Let's see. Type 2 phaser is 3. My security is 2, so that's 5 challenge dice, if I recall.
If you hit, yes.
Yeah. And range attack is daring plus security?
Control.
That's melee. Ranged is control plus security.
Ah.
And the difficulty is 2.
Okay. And I do not have a focus.
And I will remind you that
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh my.
do you have anything to re-roll that?
Let me see. I have cautious command, which doesn't work there. Nope,
All right.
I don't.
So when Skull goes to fire his phaser, there's kind of a tiny little discharge at the front of the phaser, but it just kind of goes meh, meh, and you press it again and again, and nothing's coming out of the phaser.
Uh-oh. Potential energy dampening fields in effect, people. Prepare for hand-to-hand if need be.
All right.
Hand to hand? With that?
The prospect does not please me any more than it does you, Mirthrin.
Oh dear. And it, almost as if to further amplify Mirthrin's worries, one of the security robots on their turn is going to come into the room, look specifically at Mirthrin, and will attempt to fire a net at him.
Oh dear.
He will indeed hit you with his net.
That looks like a hit.
So I have to double check the damage on this. All right. So this is for you 6 stress, which actually would be an injury, unless you'd like to spend either determination or 2 momentum to avoid it.
And I don't really have any values that would apply here.
Okay.
So, no, I think I'm just going to have to eat the stress.
Okay. Well, you guys do have 3 momentum, so
Oh, we do?
you could spend 2 to avoid the injury.
All right. Avoiding the injury. That sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, because if you had
I
taken
will
the
do
injury,
that.
you would be more or less out of combat, kind of a thing. So, Mirthrin, what happens is the net launches from the security robot and more or less entangles you utterly and causes you to drop to the floor. And you're stuck pretty good. The net is thankfully not barbed, but it's definitely a good enough implement to keep you on the ground for at least some short period of time. So that's the robot's turn. We come back around to you guys's. Which one of you would like to go next?
I want to attempt to grab the robot's Tesla arm
Mm-hmm.
and kind of grapple with it back onto itself.
Solid idea. I would say this would still be the standard daring plus security opposed at difficulty 1. And you just got to get more successes than the security robot.
I'd like to use a momentum. Can I do that?
Yeah. You've only got the one left, but you could certainly do it. All right. And yeah, the robot succeeds, which I believe means he gets to do something in response. Let me double check.
Oh, no.
Active character
Active
fails,
party
reactive
one
character
side.
succeeds. Yes. So what happens, Panek, is as you go to grab and try to forcibly shove the electrical implement back into the robot, instead, in a surprising display of strength, kind of shakes you off and flings you about 10 feet away behind one of the ensigns. Luckily, you're only going to take 1 damage from this. Or 1 stress. But yeah, we roll back around to the security robot's turn, and all of you would hear the sound of phaser fire erupt from the gamma section. And if anyone would like to roll for Sona, you can, but I can certainly just narrative her if you'd rather do it that way.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Let me just do her narrative then. We'll say that she'll hit. Let's see what her damage is. All right. So Sona fires her phaser at one of the robots and then reports over the open channel that you all now have going on, and she says, "They appear to be resistant to our phaser fire. Recommend that we either seal the doors or perhaps evacuate for the time being."
Muffled agreement from Murthrin on the floor.
All right, and we come back around to the player's turn. Who would like to go next?
1 second.
Yes.
Our Cation friend, she can retain the initiative for free, correct? From last time?
I use that for all of you moving around prior to combat getting started.
I was just wondering. All right.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong, and it's a good thing that you remembered. It's just I use that so you guys could get in position before anything happened, kind of a thing. But yeah,
I'm gonna jump in then if no.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Locke's gonna run here and try to close the doors.
Okay. This would be a control plus engineering. Good news is the difficulty's only a 1.
Focuses and trying to lock a door kind of thing.
Once the door's closed, you can maybe try to lock it, but right now you're just kind of fiddling with the panel, more or less.
Lucky. Oh.
All right, you get a success. So the door shuts closed, not exactly forcefully, but very remarkably. And with a little bit more effort, I'll say you're also able to hear a satisfying click that would symbolize that it is now locked.
Okay, good.
And I'll add that little line of vision for you there. All right, so that's what happens on the player's turn. Back on the robot's turn. The security robot that is on the other side of the door you literally just closed begins pounding on it, but the door's holding. And we come back around to the player's turn. I believe we still have Murthrin, you have to go, and Shatsu has to go.
So Murthrin's going to try and extricate himself from the net.
Okay. That would be a fitness plus con. And we'll say that that'll be at a difficulty of 2.
Fitness plus con. Difficulty 2. No applicable focuses here. No, he does not.
So I'll say you're able to get about half of yourself free so that you are able to, if need be, fire a phaser, but you're not going to be able to move as of yet. All right. We come back around to the security robots. I think most of them have gone actually at this point. I'm missing any. Nope, they've all gone. So we come back around. Skull or Shatsu, whichever you'd rather go first.
What would Shatsu do?
Go secure the other rooms.
Yeah. Have Shatsu go and secure the rooms with... Murthrin's in the room that is currently in beta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's him and Pinek in there.
And Sona's holding down the fort with the ensigns in Gamma.
Yeah, I'll have her go... I'll ask her to go and secure the room with the 2 ensigns.
Okay.
How many security robots are assaulting Beta?
There are 2.
Okay, so I got lucky. I only got one outside my room. Okay, good to know.
All right. So Shatsu will spend her entire turn moving to, I believe it was Gamma you decided, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so she'll be in Gamma for the next round. And then it is Skull's turn.
One second, just interrupt because it might be
Go
important.
ahead.
That's a task, right, to use the movement.
Yes.
So could have someone
I'm
roll for that
assuming,
just in case we get momentum.
yeah, that's not a bad idea. What is that? I think it's still fitness plus con. I could be wrong. Let me double check. Nope, it's fitness plus security. So whoever would like to roll for Shatsu certainly may.
That's my idea, so why don't I?
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably not.
Oh, yeah, you guys get 2 momentum.
All right.
So with that, I'm going to say if you want to immediately spend another momentum, Shatsu could conceivably get all the way to the doors and attempt to shut them.
That
Let's do
sounds
that.
like a good idea.
And in that case, I will need Shatsu to roll me a similar control plus engineering at a difficulty of 1 to see if she can get the door shut. Technically, she's not supposed to have this action, but I'll let you guys do it.
Control plus engineering.
Yep. All right, so Shatsu, on the captain's orders, sprints out of the room in a surprising display of Cation agility and runs into the room where Sona and the 2 ensigns are holding the fort. And Shatsu runs over to the control panel. After seeing Locke do it, she punches in the same kind of code, and the door also slams shut and hopefully seals the would-be security robots behind a door. And then finally, I think we have the captain. I might have skipped over you. I might not have.
I was top of the order, so
Okay.
I guess if it's me, then top of the order again.
Yeah, so if it is you at the top of the order, and I'm just fixing a little bit of the dynamic lighting here. There we go. So the way it works, since you guys go first in the initiative, the security robots get to go first in the next round. So the security robot that Panek tried to more or less get to Harikari itself is going to turn to the nearest ensign redshirt and attempt to melee him. And it would help if I click the right button. If any of you would like to roll for the red shirt, you certainly can. Otherwise, I'm just going to narrative it.
What am I rolling?
You would just be rolling a 2d20, less than 10. All right, so he only gets 1 success, and the security robot succeeds. So I'll go ahead and roll challenge die, and then describe what happens. Oh boy. All right, so the security robot, in almost a similar motion that was used to fling off Panek, more or less comes up and backhands this ensign, and he goes sprawling and spinning through the air a good 25 feet away, and remains prone and limp on the ground. It remains to be seen whether or not he is killed or if he is simply unconscious. And it is now your guys' turn, so who would like to go next?
Panek would like to kind of get up and run towards this command console, and wants to find a way to shut down these robots or like remotely disable the security.
Okay, I'm going to say that would be a daring plus security, because yeah, these bots are security. And I would say the difficulty here would more than likely be a 3.
I'm going to use a momentum then.
Okay. Also, might be a good time for determination if you've got any value or any applicable focuses, or not focuses, values.
I don't have any determination.
All right. Yeah, so Panek, you pick yourself up and run on over to the console and desperately try to find some sort of control mechanism for the robots, but you're not finding any. They appear to either be on a separate system or somewhere deeper into this console system that you just haven't been able to find yet. As we roll back around to the security robot's turn, those in Gamma and Alpha will hear the pounding on the door of the robots, but again, the doors appear to be holding. Excuse me.
Hang on. Sorry.
Yes.
Panek, didn't you take a momentum for an extra dice?
Did I not add it?
No, it doesn't appear that you did.
Uh,
So yeah, go ahead, because you could roll a 1 and conceivably get what you need. Sorry, I should have noticed that myself. Tell you what, let's retcon what I just said.
I'm really sorry.
No, it's okay. So Panek, you are instead able to find what you think is the security robot's subroutine in the console. However, there are 3 buttons that are presented to you that the universal translator is not able to decipher. There is a blue button, a yellow button, and a red button.
Now, do these aliens have the same color associations that we do?
You have no idea.
I'm gonna hit the yellow one.
Okay. So you hit the yellow one, and then everyone, so those in alpha, those in gamma, and those in beta, are going to hear this very high-pitched whine of energy buildup. And those of you in beta, since you are able to see one of the security robots, will see that the robot's structure is beginning to glow, and the Tesla coil is beginning to arc as if it is beginning to overload.
I think you just hit the self-destruct.
So yeah, Mirthrin, I think it's either going to be you freeing yourself or getting the ensign to try and push the robot away, whichever you would prefer.
Like, have the robots stopped advancing and attacking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mirthrin's going to basically try to tackle the security robot through the door and slam it closed.
Okay. You do need to free yourself first, so another fitness plus con. This I'll say is only at a difficulty 1, since you've gotten probably your upper half untangled.
Fitness plus con. Oh no,
Ooh.
complication.
Ooh.
I have an idea for the complication.
I'm willing to hear it. What do you got?
It takes me so long getting untangled that I don't close the door in time and I get caught in the explosion.
Sure. I mean, we can do it that way. Let's do it this way instead, because I don't want to down you as a character quite yet.
Okay.
So, Mirthrin, you untangle yourself, rush over, and try to push the security robot through, but just as it begins to overload and explode, the red shirt that is next to you, he kind of just shouts, "Sir, no!" And the ensign kind of shoulder checks Mirthrin out of the way, and the red shirt goes soaring through the door with the security robot. And just as the door closes, you hear a muffled explosion from all sides as the security robots are no longer. Unfortunately, you are down 1 ensign.
Oh, Terry, he was 3 years away from retirement.
But yeah, you guys are now out of initiative order and can act freely.
I don't know if we're going to get out these doors now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that was entertaining.
yeah. Murthrin's like trying to see if the door.
That's cool.
Pedek is gonna keep going through the command console and see if he can find anything for the transmitter, the emitter realignment.
Okay. There is indeed another subroutine. That would be the equivalent of running a level 3 diagnostic on all 3 of the emitters.
Okay, I'll do it then.
Okay. You do so, and there is the audible sound of machinery whirring to life as all 3 sections notice that their emitter array and the power feeding into it. You would almost guess that the great dishes that are outside are being tweaked and realigned. And after about a period of 5 minutes, Panek, your console reports that the transmitters are now in optimal realignment.
It seems.
Is anyone going to call up to the ships? Because Murthrin's still trying to get through the door to check on that ensign.
Yeah, the door is a mess at this point. It is not opening.
Ah, damn it! And he pulls out his phaser and just starts cutting through it.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Now the phasers work. Captain's call to the Ophion.
All 3 sections respond.
The dishes appear to have realigned themselves. Are you guys detecting any significant difference on the planet or the suns?
Senior Chief Tin will be the first to reply. Yes, sir. The solar radiation is gone, and the tetrions have coalesced around the stellar bodies. I believe we could conceivably reintegrate the ship without any worry.
Wonderful. Out of curiosity, out of sheer curiosity, where do you sensors read my life sign?
Well, according to this, sir, you're at the center of the system.
Fascinating. Now that you're able to move freely, are you able to scan the center of the system for any subspace anomalies?
Certainly, sir.
Or
One
structures?
moment. So you would hear Tin tapping away at his console, and he'll say, there is some form of cloaked facility at your position, sir. We would have to get the Ophion rather close to the suns to beam you out of it, but it is conceivably possible.
No need. We'll put a pin in that investigation. Come back to that later. I'll head back to one of the planets.
Okay.
In the meantime, please see about reintegrating the ship. Actually, no. Let's leave the ship separated until all away team members are back on board.
Aye, sir.
Can I transport on this planet now that the ion emission have stopped?
Your emissions on Beta were natural phenomenon of the planet and not the emitter.
But you still gotta take the shuttle, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can step into the center and then tell Finn to send down a body recovery detail for the ensign,
Okay.
and then step back over and then attempt to burn through this door to
All
get
right.
to him.
So between Murthrin and Panek, you guys are indeed able to cut a hole open in the door. And probably mostly for the sake of Murthrin's sanity here. Good and bad news. Good news, no more security robot. Bad news, no sign of the ensign. It is if whatever the explosion did completely vaporized everything that you saw.
He sort of looks through, sort of clenches his fist, leans against the bulkhead. Cancel that body recovery detail.
We now have a spare set of quarters for our stowaway.
God.
Mr. Locke, there is a time for gallows humor. This is not one of them.
Sorry, Captain.
Okay. Well, we still have a mission to accomplish, folks. Let's. So, in your professional opinion, gentlemen, should we leave this facility online, or shall we decommission it?
I say leave it online. I mean, quite aside from the uncertainty of removing stability, the artificial stabilizing influence, I mean, this represents, like, this is exactly what we come out here to look for.
As a counterpoint, this isn't Federation space. The Klingons and Romulans both have claim to areas nearby here, and we definitely don't want them falling into possession of Iconian-type doorway technology.
And these emitters have degraded over time before. This could very well happen again. Leaving it powered is irresponsible.
Okay, so best case or worst case scenario, what happens if we turn it off? Obviously, leaving it on has stabilized the situation for the Ophion. We can move freely about and come and go as we please. Would we risk a failure if we were to turn them off?
And I would say yes. I mean, I seriously doubt the system could stay in a stable configuration for any length of time without these emitters.
Let's have the I'm gonna step into the center and then have all three. I guess I can contact all three sections. I want the computer to run a model of this tertiary system if like to see if it would go out of control.
Okay.
If there was no external influence, what would the natural gravity of the system do?
So, of course, it's going to take a few minutes to run such a simulation, but one of the Ophion sections will report back, probably beta section because it's the one with the science labs. Sir, we believe the system would degrade into a more optimal orbit for all planetary bodies involved. However, the current configuration would definitely degrade within weeks, if not days.
The Tetrion missions, would those have been the result of the improper alignment, like an inefficient engine?
Sort of, yeah.
So if we just shut it off, there won't be the Tetrion particles. The system will just return to nature.
Conceivably.
Captain, I really have to strongly disagree with this course of action. I mean, this is too priceless to destroy.
Agreed. For the time being, let's get ourselves all back on the ship, and then we can perform a more detailed mapping of the solar system, and then we can see where things are being transported to. I believe Mr. Panek found a location where this thing was transporting to.
It wasn't me. I believe it's this. You're talking about this triangle in the center.
No, I could have misheard I could have misheard something during all the chaos. I thought that there was someone had found the location to where the transportation beam was going.
Oh, yes, that's right. Now that we don't have the problem with the ion storm, we can actually have the ship scan and see if it can figure out if there's a transporter beam lock thing happening.
Okay. I would say between the ship and your control console in beta, you would be able to detect that this particular system is set up to beam anywhere between 1 to 3 suns to somewhere in the Gamma Quadrant.
Gamma Quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
Which is opposite side of the galaxy from us.
I think that's
now
Delta,
we don't have to just worry about the Romulans finding this. We also have to worry about the Dominion getting this technology.
Well, I think the Dominion would be on the receiving end.
It said to or from. We're uncertain which.
True. I mean, the stars had to come from somewhere, but one would think that these stars would have been harvested locally.
Or this could be transporting the suns to there.
It's entirely possible. We know very little about the Takan Empire. It's possible that they had come up with a way to preserve their solar system by transporting a failing star out and transporting a good star in.
Ophion, can you use your sensors to detect how large the cloaked mass in the center of the system is? So we can only see a single room. Is it like a small station, or is it massive?
Tin replies, it appears to be a fairly small, but obviously dense, impossibly dense even, facility. It is perhaps the size of 2 quarters put together, but it is impossibly denser. That it is the barycenter of everything in system.
An artificial singularity, acting as the anchor.
Strangely, that is the closest thing that comes to mind, yes.
Hmm.
I had wondered what was holding it together.
Interesting.
Yes. No, we need to preserve this and get as much information from this as we can. Like, call in the Aegis and the Connecticut, even see if they can. It's like an Intrepid class's sensors would be able to extract so much information out of this.
Yeah, I was about to suggest to the captain that we hold position here and continue to study it until the Aegis can get to us at the very least, and then communicate to them to port directly to this system.
I would suggest. Yeah, that sounds like a decent suggestion to me. Our sensor capacity is dwarfed by either one of the other vessels, but
we can certainly do a lot of surveying if we don't mind spending a fair amount of time here.
I mean, we're Starfleet. We have nothing but time.
So we believe that they moved the stars, not the planets.
I'm sure the Takan at one point felt the same way, Captain.
Well, that is true. It seems that the galaxy is littered with corpses of galactic civilizations that come and go. It will probably even happen to the United Federation of Planets at some point, but not during my lifetime, I hope.
Who knows? Maybe we'll leave behind something like this for people to marvel at, to come after us.
No, we certainly have some big shoes to fill.
I'll start organizing some survey teams to come down, check how the power systems are in danger of failing anytime soon.
Okay.
I want to get more security guys down here as well and kind of flush out the facility to make sure all of these security bots have been dealt with.
Okay.
Where is the power coming from? Can we track it back to its source?
You would be able to track it back to what equates to a very large geothermal type power plant. It's absolutely massive.
It's like, so are they drawing heat energy directly out of the magma, sort of?
Mm-hmm.
That might explain why they chose these 3 planets, considering one of the planets is the atmosphere is not particularly habitable.
Agreed.
Oh, wait, you should come onto our planet and see the beaches.
Beaches. It's
Yes.
a little early for shore leave, but I'm all for a little exploration.
Yeah, iron sand beaches with emerald seas. It's stunning.
Any animal life?
Not that we were able to tell. No life signs on any of the planets.
Perhaps you could get a few scans in as a holonovelist to recreate on the deck.
Yes. And I think at that point, that's probably where the camera starts zooming out as the end of episode music starts playing as we proceed to science the F out of this place.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put you guys back on the bridge for the time being. Just, so we're all on the same page. So, to kind of, and this will be a shorter session, obviously. So to kind of bring it all back in, You send down more survey teams to see what you can find out. You send down some security teams to make sure the science teams don't get security roboted. Some some hollow novel type shots are taken, things of that nature. But the end of the day, you make a call to the USS Aegis, and the Aegis will, of course, immediately divert and head to you at a high warp factor, so that they will arrive within a day. So you guys have a full day to do whatever you wish. You could certainly continue your efforts on the planet, or you could choose to do something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go starting at the bottom and work our way up. Locke, is there anything in particular you wanted to accomplish?
I'd like to have a private meeting with the captain when he has a moment.
I always have a moment for my crew.
I just want to thank you for bringing me to Alpha Shift and discuss my service record with you. I mean, some of the senior staff have commented on my behavior.
I am, of course, aware of the reprimandation put on your record. However, between you and me, I believe that it was one of those reprimands that was earned as a test of good character rather than a faulty judgment.
Yes, it was. I don't know if you have access to my full service record, aka the character sheet that's in the Roll Discord.
I'm assuming there's probably some stuff classified by Starfleet intelligence, but I got most of it.
Yes, it was. Thank you for understanding. I had to get out of Starfleet intelligence. It's Black Hole was very informative, but it does it changes how you react to situations, and I do tend to even with my short stay there, I do tend to kind of default to harsher actions that I would feel comfortable with. So even now, my first instinct is to research how to blow up the planets if they became compromised.
Lieutenant, the Starfleet has just fought an 8-year war against the Dominion, and at some points our very survival was at stake, and various morals were broken in order to win. The fact that you understand that there is a right and a wrong action after such a war speaks more to your character than any reprimand would.
Thank you for understanding, Captain. I will try to temper my initial reactions, and I am very thankful that there's a captain who is understanding enough that will shut me down when necessary when I recommend a ill-advised action.
Oh, don't get me wrong. If you have a violent outburst, I will have Lieutenant Shatsu stun you.
Understood.
Dismissed.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else you'd like Locke to accomplish?
Nope. He's going to resist the urge to scan the geothermal power center and figure out a way to cause the planets to implode, and instead just scan the archives and get as much information from their data systems as he can. Download the archive.
We come now to Mirthrin. Mirthrin, I get the sense you had some ideas of what to do with this technology.
Oh yeah, he's going to sort of try and figure out like what's going on with the weird subspace portal thingy, and just going, oh wow, I never thought of doing that, and oh wow, this is giving me so much to think about, and just basically getting as much stuff as he can before they inevitably have to leave and let the Aegis do most of the fun stuff.
Okay, so what I'll say, because I like it when I give players projects they can complete, I'll say that you've taken enough scans to maybe start to build a prototype device, but it would be one of those things where if you gave a caveman a schematic for a very simple object, like, say, a hammer, the caveman might be able to replicate the hammer, but he might not know exactly the intricacies of such a tool. But as the Starfleet Engineering course tenets are, you learn by doing, as it were.
And as his second value says, half a theory today is worth 2 theories tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, if you do decide to pursue this option, it's going to be one of those things you handle in your off time, and maybe further down the road, you might be able to come up with a working prototype type thing.
Yeah. So this is going to be one of his ongoing projects, is just tinkering with this and figuring out how it works.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. If you had anything else, if not, we will go to Panek. Panek, what would you like to accomplish?
He'll start off by helping coordinate the survey teams and security teams and any shift rotations they do, and then he'll stop by and visit the Black Sands and Emerald Oceans a little bit on Murthrin's planet, and then then he'll go and transmit their findings to Starfleet Command.
Okay.
And then go for a Vulcan Spice Tea in the Duck.
Okay. So the Duck is actually kind of packed today. Most of the crewmen that are around are kind of discussing in hushed tones about what the application of the technology that has been found might be. As you can imagine, some of the discussion is, oh well, if we could make gateways like that, and then someone else says, no, we're not ready for such a thing. It is very much a Starfleet type conversation with pros and cons for each side. But the general sense that you would get is that the crew is curious. They obviously trust their commanding officers. It's just, it's scuttlebutt. You can't really stop scuttlebutt on a ship.
Panek will comment to one of the gossiping ensigns or crewmen that as far as we've come technologically, there's races like the Takan and the Iconians show that we have yet to quite get out as far as we imagine we have.
Of course, sir. I just wanted to tell our friend here that, such technology maybe carries some risks sometimes.
All discovery carries risks, Ensign. But every time we do, we discover there's another horizon for us to attempt to reach.
Of course, sir. That is a very wise way to think of it. All right. So, Panek, unless you have anything else, we will go to the captain.
Nope.
All right. After his chat with Locke, the captain will draft up the notice of decease, killed in action report for Ensign Terry, who gave his life to protect Chief Engineer Murthrin, died a hero, yada yada yada. I'm sure by now Starfleet has several form letters.
Oh yeah.
He was a great man. He was a strong man. He was respected by his peers, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Once done, he is going to go down and just put both feet on the Emerald Shore Beach planet, and just enjoy the fact that he is not in space where things can kill him.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I think unless anyone has any last minute things, that's where we'll call the session. So guys, stick around for a little bit of after session chat. But for those of you who may be watching on YouTube or Twitch, bye-bye.